Hey everybody, this is Mr. Dean here. I want to talk about city skylines and making a fresh start. Well, it's a fresh old start. You see, a few years ago I had made this project where I wanted to build a city that was inspired by Santiago, Chile. The big inspiration that I had was this very large national park that was on some high ground, then a row of skyscrapers and fine buildings and fancy houses, and then a river, and then, well, the other side of the river. But this really well-built, beautiful area. And yeah, I know there's financial inequality, yada, 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 but still beautiful houses and stuff in between this national park and this natural waterway. This is not going to be the actual city of Santiago. I'm not making a one-to-one build. In fact, the first buildings I have here are from Chicago and Toronto. So yeah, here we are. But the idea, the lay of the land is what I want to have in here. The map itself, I made this from a height map around Orizaba, Mexico. And yes, Orizaba, Mexico is not known for its beachfront, but by taking the height map and flooding out this area here, I had some really nice high and low areas, and the cascade of the water goes naturally. It's not just this big generic flat area like you see on some maps. I did carve out a little more water here and into here and up that way, so that way we could have some good sea lanes. And I also put in a river. The map that I made before had a river in it, but the way I made that river is nowhere near the skill level that I have now, so I had to redo that thing. I like the natural rises and falls in this map, especially how there are some mountain passes that allow me to put in road and railroad connections. I'm not forcing anything really, well, except over here with this road coming in across the islands, but so what? Everything else is going to add up nicely, and there's this rise here in the middle that will break up any grid that I plan. I could start making a straight line and then whammo, it hits this, has to stop, go around, and by the time it gets around, there's another grid forming up over here. I will have grids, but they're going to crash into each other, and there will be no big overall grid that makes it boring in the eyes of some. So this will be fun for that. And I do have that high rise of land, my narrow area between the river that I built and this area. This is something I created. I wanted to build with this constraint. We'll have some tall buildings here. It will look very upscale and all. And I also want it to be something, though, where anybody can show up and have fun. This is a public space down here in front of this main building. This riverfront here is going to get built up with a quay, and I'll have pedestrian and bicycle paths going through here, trees, parks in between this road and the quay. I want this to be built out as a public space where everybody wants to go. Yes, there will be rich houses back up in here hidden amongst trees. I do intend to make this whole place look like a big salad, but over here by the river, I want it to be where people are, where they congregate, where they have fun, where they do things, and it's a vibrant space. I will need to build bridges over this water. I'll have to figure out exactly how to do that and space them properly so people have good access here. But that's the main thing I wanted to do. I started by putting in this road and these buildings and then these parks and going around that and going, all right, what else do I need to do to make the rest of this area happen? This is my inspiration. This is my touchstone for the entire city. Cool looking buildings with lots of salad around them. And look, even on the streets. These streets are leafy and green. Highly nutritious. That's what I want in my town. Leafy green salads. Back up in here, I can make this forest area a lot more dense. I will want to carve out pathways and put lookout areas around here. I will want to try to make sure that I have some spots like maybe this point here. If we get on top of it, we should be able to have a good view of the area, so no tall buildings immediately in front of it. But part of the view will be to see the tall buildings off to the sides. I want to have that impact. And maybe a few other lookout points along this ridge just to take in that whole urban view. Back on this side, I want it to be rougher and more rural. So yeah, there'll be lookout points here, but they'll see more natural beauty out this way. I've got to add some flowers and trees of color that will really sparkle up here. I've just got some basic greens laid out. As far as transportation goes, well, I had this road put in, and then I made another road follow the river. I have rail lines and I have highway lines. When I first built this, I actually made a mix master down in this area where all the incoming highways would meet in this spot generally. I don't want to do that this time. I want this highway to come up, go over the hill, cross the river, come around the top, and join up with these two highways. I want this to be something that goes around the main city, and then exits will come into the city and allow connections that way. This will also help to break up any possible grid, having these radiuses coming in at different directions. But yes, main traffic goes around the city, and then if you have to come into the city, you got it, it's there. Rail lines. I don't like it when my cargo gets mixed in with my passenger, so this is a passenger line, and there's a passenger station there, and this is a cargo line going into an industrial zone. And this will also be serviced by ports. Never the twain shall meet. And up here, I've got a pedestrian line and a cargo line. Did I call that pedestrian? Passenger. Whoops. Right next to the highway. I'll have to figure out how to get it to go under and over or whatever, but yeah, that's the idea. This cargo line will service an area here that could also be industrial. As far as the passenger rails, they're not going to connect to each other. They're going to dump out at these metro stations, and then if you want to get from one passenger station to the other, you'll take the metro. Is that entirely realistic? No, it's not. Is it how I'm building out my town? Yes, it is. Some realism is going to be suspended because I said so. I am the mayor for life of this town. I get to do whatever I want, and I have decided that it will look the way I want it to look, and that's that. Haha. Now, as far as rules I have for building it out, I do want it to look pretty, but I also want to feel like I'm taking care of my people, that I'm not forcing any unequal situations. I'm not going to be bound by anybody's past. It's not going to be a trap for me or a prison for me. I decide what the past is of this location, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a place where everybody has wanted to live for all their life and before that. It's going to be fantastic. Metro, it's going to have walkable spaces, it's going to be leafy and green. I mentioned the salad, beautiful buildings, and plenty of services to take care of people who don't have it as well as others, and certainly nothing to discriminate. That's just how I feel, and yeah, I'm a hippie at heart. Let's enjoy that. But I'm also a hippie that loves architecture, and that's why I want buildings like this. That's why I want buildings like this. So I will definitely explore that possibility, build things out, and well, we'll see if I'm able to realize my vision as we go through this series. I hope you enjoy it with me. I hope you like city painting of your own. And until next time, this is Mr. Dean saying happy city painting.